if you have no information to explain the supernatural origin of the universe, which is supernatural, if you haven't got insight to explain, clearly you cannot have insight to reject supernaturality also, and therefore reject the miracles of Jesus. You can't, either this or that.
So no other older religion than Christianity has had a virgin birth, for example?
No, demonstrably not so.
Ever had a virgin birth?
Demonstrably not so.
Why does America have the contract with aliens? They only land in America.
John Paul needs So, are
They
you
were both created by Jews.
a Christian yourself, sir, or
My
not?
name's John Paul Joseph. What do you think?
Don't know. I can't
John
say
Paul
by
Joseph.
the name doesn't.
Is he a Christian? I don't think so. Exactly. I am a Christian. John Paul Joseph. He's a
Okay.
Christian.
So you are a Christian.
Yeah.
It's a Christian name, but are you a Christian?
Probably the oldest Christian country in the world, Malta.
You're from Malta.
I'm a real minority.
Okay, so you are a Christian.
No one from India or China or a Muslim can be a minority. Malta is one of the smallest countries in the world. So I must be a minority.
Sure.
Truth.
But how are you following Jesus today? How do you follow Jesus? How are you a Christian?
I believe he probably was, he took a lot of magic mushrooms. He was an alchemist. And he got people drunk sitting on the hill. And he knew the tides. So he said, watch out, because spring tide, neap tide. And he said, watch out, they're all drunk, remember? And then they went back and said,
And this is how you are a Christian?
And he walked on water. Of course he didn't. No one walks on water. Even you know it's impossible. But you know Malta is older than
So if
megalithic. Do you know Malta's megalithic temples?
Do you know
about Malta?
Sure. But let me
I'm
ask
not
you this.
sure. Do you know about?
No, but let's focus on this point.
Yeah.
So
Malta's
you don't
much more
believe
older.
in miracles. So help me understand, how did the universe come into existence?
Thank you. A good point. It's beyond our comprehension to know that.
What do you mean? But it has been within your comprehension
All man
to reject
knows.
supernaturality. So if you have rejected supernaturality, assuming it is within your comprehension, the same comprehension you have used there should help you answer this question also. How did the universe come into being?
Greater people than myself have not even proven that they
I
could.
completely agree.
No.
But you have rejected supernaturality,
It's a
and therefore
phenomenon. It's an amazing
and therefore have asserted your ability or the insight that you have to reject supernaturality. So I'm trying to see what insight that is, because that same insight would help you answer this question also.
If I may
How did the universe come into being
If I may
from nothing?
Okay. It's kind of a very difficult thing to answer.
In other words,
I know that you're a very good person.
but
Your
but
values are better than Muslims, that's for sure.
but what I can,
And
what
that's important to me.
that's important. That's a good start.
Very, very important.
That's a good start.
But I
But
also believe the Jews wrote the Quran. That's the conclusion I've recently reached. Because it echoes
we'll
the same
deal with that
sentiment.
conspiracy later.
It echoes the same sentiments.
No.
all
We'll
the
deal
way
with that
through.
No.
All
We'll
the way
deal.
through.
Let's deal with that conspiracy later. I've asked you a simple question right now.
It's the most complicated question in the world.
If you have no information to explain the supernatural origin of the universe, which is supernatural, if you haven't got insight to explain, clearly you cannot have insight to reject supernaturality also, and therefore reject the miracles of Jesus. You can't, either this or that. You need to choose right
All
now.
I
You need
know
to be
is
consistent.
that You are a good person.
But we're
And
moving
you-
on. We're
you-
talking about something
No,
else.
no, you come here to sort of break things down. But I know you're a good person regardless of religion.
Sure.
Beyond religion.
But we are talking about something.
You are.
Yeah, sure.
It's not we.
Sure.
You
But
two.
the
I
entire
wanted
idea
to-
of
I
the
wanted to
entire
talk
idea of
to
a
you.
conversation is not to repeat something we have already said and perhaps agree on, but to discuss things which are perhaps not agreed upon so far, which we can have a good debate or discussion. So now going to the question I've asked, please be consistent.
I haven't got the answer.
Please show. But I would like to comment to you, John. You said John.
Yeah.
John, could I just comment to you consistency? When you cannot explain, there is only one explanation for the universe's existence, and that is supernaturality. Everyone, as a matter of fact, every theory that has been advanced, if you actually carefully analyze, they resort back to supernaturality in disguise. And so to you, my point would simply be, given that to explain the entire universe, we have to fall back on supernaturality, which we don't observe every single day. You have to be willing to observe supernaturality even within the creation we live in when it shows up. I completely agree. You have to be skeptical, not blindly agree to any claim and every claim. I completely agree. But you can't preemptively discredit also just saying supernaturality can't happen. Are you with me so far?
As I said, all the planets aligning, it's so vast that if someone could create it in 7 days, they may as well create it in a nanosecond.
Absolutely.
Why 7 days?
Well, that's his choice.
Allah did the same.
That's his
Muhammad
choice.
lived in a cave.
But that's not the
Same
point.
story as Jesus.
But no,
They all
but that's
lived
not
in
the
a
point
cave.
I'm making right now. The point I'm making right now is, if from nothing something could come, which is clearly not part of any of the laws we are aware of,
I know you're real because I see you.
sure.
on
But
the-
I am making
see you
another
on the
point.
internet,
But I
and
am
you're
making
here today.
yes.
That's
But
a
I am making
valid
Paul.
truth.
But I am making John Paul. Sorry, I am making another point which could help you
One I
advance.
can't answer.
No, another point based on what you have already said that I'd like for you to pay attention to, which is very simply that even for the universe's very existence, we have to depend on supernaturality, and
Okay,
that being the
okay.
case, I would encourage you not to preemptively reject Jesus walking on water and other such miracles just because they are supernatural, as if we have found a way to reject
But
supernaturality,
he was a
which
deceiver. All
is not.
Jews are
He is not.
deceived. All
I'll
men,
ask you another question.
All nations and all men
How
on
can
earth.
life come
They've
from
deceived
non-life?
all men on earth.
How can
Every
life?
nation.
How can
Why
life?
is that?
How can life come from non-life?
I think Hindus knew more about life.
How can life come from non-life? Earlier I asked, how can the universe come from nothing?
Nobody
Now,
knows that answer.
how
Nobody
can
knows.
life comes from non-life?
You're
No answer
arguing-
for that too.
Even Einstein was a plagiarist. It's been proven he didn't know.
But please focus,
I
John
am,
Paul.
I
Please,
am,
you need
I
to
am.
stay
I'm
focused.
sharing.
So
Sharing is caring.
no, you're not sharing. You're not engaging right now. I'm making some significant points that could help you. So we have decided, we have agreed that universe from nothing, you don't know. Life from non-life, you don't know. Yeah, life
know
from non-life, you
nothing.
don't
I know
know.
nothing.
Yeah. How can there be only human beings who are unique amongst millions of species that we walk around in these funny artificial clothing, in the sense of being able to mill and produce thread and stitch and so on, which none of the other living beings do, even though there are millions of other species
Well, animals don't
on the
need
planet.
it. Humans need it.
Say again.
Animals don't need clothing.
It's not a matter of needing. I'm asking, do you need clothing?
Well,
If you walk around without clothing-
we adapted to need clothing.
No. The question
We used to be hairy.
that's your claim.
It's
I'm
a
asking.
fact.
I'm asking you if your idea is right. The question I'm asking you is, how can it be explained that human beings are unique on so many different levels?
It's a good point. I can't explain it.
So you don't
To
have an
some-
answer for that also.
I
there are
but
plenty
you
of
do.
other. There are plenty of
You're
other.
going to say God or Jesus, yeah.
No. I am going to say, given that you don't have an answer on all of these fronts, it is important for you to be open-minded right now, to even consider the response in terms of supernaturality. So this is important, John.
Okay.
And I invite you to read.
I can't
Sure.
believe anything a Jew said.
No, I don't.
He's deceived all
I
mankind.
didn't say anything
A Jew,
apart
a
from.
Jew.
I didn't say anything apart from the obvious inferences based on what you have said.
I can't believe one word from a Jew or a Muslim.
This is.
So that leaves Christianity, but in my mind,
How
they're
can it
just-
leave? Jesus was a Jew.
yeah, I don't believe anything he said.
So how can you have Christianity without
No, I said that
Jesus?
I believe. Well, because he's a new kid on the block. He's not even that old, is he? 2,000 years is not old in
But
evolution.
Jesus was a Jew.
Yeah.
Your evolution. Okay, let me ask you another.
2,000
Let me
years
ask
isn't
you.
long.
Let me ask you
2,000
another question.
years isn't long.
Is there evidence for one species in the natural environment evolving into another that we have ever observed?
Well, Gabriel could be a duplicit, could be actually the alien that fell to Earth. Why does it have to be the angel?
John Paul,
The
please
angel.
listen carefully.
No, I will
I've asked a
break down your
specific
belief.
question.
I'll break down
The
your
question was simple.
Shout.
3 points you didn't have an answer for. 3 questions you didn't have an
Make it
answer
4
for.
just because
Those are
it's
one of the
round
most fundamental questions. Before you reject God, you need to have answers for. Now, the fourth most fundamental question, the question I've asked was, do you have any evidence for one species evolving into another that we have observed in its natural biota?
Yeah, I think they took some drugs that opened up their mind and then they infiltrated everyone else's society.
In other words, you don't know either.
Stole all
So,
their-
in other words, the point is,
stole
John
all
Paul,
their information.
there is much lack of
They wrote
insight.
the Bible.
There is
but
much
a
lack
lot
of
what's
insight.
in the Bible
There is
comes
much
from
lack of insight.
the Kundalini.
Have you studied the
The
first
Kundalini.
century Israel history?
the Kundalini.
Have you studied the
Oh,
first
because
century Judean history?
Malta is much more older.
Have you studied the first century Judean history?
Malta is megalithic.
Have you studied the first century
Suitcase is electric.
Judean history? Nice.
You need to get one when you go on holiday.
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
invented that.
Yeah, it's
That's but Josiah invented that. But that's the argument.
No.
What's
No,
important?
no, please, John Paul.
No, you're a good man. I know
how-
you're a good man.
Thank you. But you
You
need
would
to.
be welcome on my planet.
Thank you very much
Yeah.
for that gracious
What?
welcome.
Yeah, there's
Help
many.
me
You can have
understand.
one each.
How
He's back. It's been a long time, man.
how come?
I didn't recognise you.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I've known him
long
30 odd
time.
years.
Oh yeah.
Your
Well,
daughter must be 22
Son,
now. Son.
18.
Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
Yeah, many
So
years back.
John Paul has been struggling
All my
answering
life.
Haven't we all?
basic
Got worse.
answering basic
It's like
questions.
that now. It used to be-
Answering basic.
Too much information.
How long was he here?
Oh,
Was it 20 years
when-
ago he left or
When all
so?
the bloody workers that were here.
So he has been.
Parties.
He has been. So Stephen, we need to focus on these important things in life. So, of course, you need to become a Christian.
Yeah.
For which, of course, we need to.
He's welcome on my planet. I'm not
You're
religious.
on your,
I'm not
oh, you're
religious.
not. But can I
I'm
just
gonna
say,
have my own planet.
I was in central London. Was it last weekend when the main gay pride thing was? I was shocked
And
by
they
it.
didn't convert
It was disgusting.
Of course it is.
And if pride just stands for gay rights, I'm fine with that. But this was debauchery,
Do you know,
fetishist.
there's gay
I will
men.
tell you something else.
And there's even a church on Piccadilly that was like partying in it, and it's festooned in LGBT flags
yeah,
and
yeah.
selling beer outside the
I'm
church.
from Brighton.
Can I say?
Oh, are you?
No, gay men leave Brighton now because they're ashamed
Yeah,
of
yeah,
how
yeah.
it's become.
So, but what I'm saying is, it
what I'm saying.
didn't,
I'm echoing that.
but it almost nudged me towards Christianity, or thinking the loss of Christianity as resulting in that disgusting
Yeah. Well, I don't mind what they do behind
circus.
there.
No,
They're doing
exactly.
it in
Or
the street.
if they do it in their bedrooms, or if they
Give-
do it in their sex clubs, fine.
Give
Don't do it
masks.
on the streets at 12 midday in front of kids and families.
Exactly, Steve. Can you imagine? Because of course,
Gomorrah,
I have seen.
Gomorrah.
I have seen your son when he was this height, and
now he's
I could
this
see
height.
now he's tall.
Taller than
But
you.
can you imagine? I have taller than me. Well, unfortunately, I can't catch up anymore. But I have two little. Of course, I have two.
Yeah. How old are they now?
4, about to be 5 soon, and 2.
Wow.
But you are entirely right. You have struck the nail on its head. This is,
Gomorrah.
children,
Full silence.
children whose innocence we are supposed to maintain and help maintain are being sucked into
Yeah.
an ideological battlefield
Yeah.
Yes.
where they are fast losing their own lives.
Well, I saw lots of examples, but one example that just stayed in my memory, there was this couple walking along with their little son who looked about 7 or 8 years old. Mother was just normally dressed, behaving. The father was wearing a dress, a gold spangly dress, and then had gold glitter all over his face. And they were walking along the pavement as a family, and I thought, what chance does that kid have to have any basis in reality or normal life?
And Stephen, you understand, how even, unfortunately, even divorces, how even being raised up in a single parent family, how it demolishes children's lives, children's future, and so on.
I'm not sure I would say it demolishes, because I'm divorced. And,
I know.
And that doesn't mean my son's life has been demolished.
At least-
but I will accept that it is better and it is healthier and it's better for the kids.
Well, you know what I can
when
say-
their parents are happily married. And
Right, that plus in your case, you both might be still giving reasonable input into his life in a cordial manner. Perhaps I really, this is one thing that I wish through God's grace, things would be really good for your son especially, but also for you and your former wife. But you can agree that at least you spent. I don't know how many. I don't know when. I don't want to reveal too much of personal details. But can you imagine a family, a couple, who maybe when the child was born, the father goes away. We know how that impacts the. I have seen in people who are related to me close enough.
But I will add to that though, and I've read this. Actually, when parents separate and divorce, if the kid is 12, 13, 14, it can actually be a lot more psychologically damaging for them than if they were 2, 3 or 4 years
Sure,
old.
I can see.
And unfortunately,
Yeah, it's hard.
my son was 12 when
That's
we
really
separated.
sad.
was 5.
So it'll be.
Right.
So I completely agree with that.
Because they're younger, they
But
get
this
used
man
to
is
it.
the voice of reason. I've
Oh,
seen him on
okay.
telly trying to split up. He knows what's right and wrong, and that's to me that's a great.
So
value
we
beyond
can all
everything
agree how. I may agree. I know. Of course, I am inclined to agree with you on that. Possible, and
And I manage it without Christ,
else.
personally.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This is the beauty of the institution of family, where Steve, I don't know how much you've researched, but when you research the Bible, there are a few institutions that God has given. One of which is marriage, which actually will work even when people reject Him. But the biblical basis for marriage.
Can't claim a monopoly of marriage.
I'm not saying Christians
It's
can.
not unique to Christianity.
I'm not.
But what I will say to you is that, and I'm kind of maybe accepting this more now, that maybe a lot of my culture and my morality and my society does
Come
emanate
from the Bible.
out of Christianity.
I will tell you some additional.
Joseph,
I will tell you
Joseph,
some.
What religion are you? I said, okay, man.
I will tell you some. I will give you some additional details. You might have heard my commentary on Islam in relation to
Many
how that
times.
ruins families.
Many
They go around spreading this lie that somehow
12 wives.
our society is clearly we are messed up when it comes to marriage and so on. But they think, because you're messed up, Christianity is terrible, but Islam is so wonderful. I am thinking, look, we are messed up because we haven't stuck to our morals given by the Bible properly. But Islam is so terrible, so don't even come near. And I could also tell you, Steve, there are few other religions that I am personally aware of in much detail. I don't want to get into the details right now, but there are some interesting aspects to their marriages also. You would be surprised.
Good or bad?
Bad aspects. You would be surprised that actually
but
the
without
good template that we get from marriage in a formal
Yeah.
manner comes from the Bible.
But if you look at, in this country, Hindu families, Sikh families, they seem to very, very much respect the family unit. intergenerationally as well.
I completely
the way
agree.
They look after their elders, etc., and respect their elders. So again, it's not just Christianity or Christians that know the importance of the family unit.
But I completely understand. I completely agree. But guess what? When you look at the text, some of these texts,
Right.
you would be surprised as to what comes out.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to get into that discussion right now because you don't
Have you
know,
read
and
any of the-
therefore
sorry.
people may accuse
Have
me.
you read
People may.
Majestic?
Yes. But the long story, Stephen. If I, John Paul, please, if I could just say, the Bible
said quite
has
enough.
played.
Carry on.
The Bible has played a tremendous role in our nation, and you are entirely right. And you are entirely right also that this LGBTQ agenda, even though they may at times market that as some sort of a freedom of some freedom and liberty for you to decide what you. In reality, when you explore both the movement, the starting of the movement, coming from the US. The latest trend in the Western world coming from the US, it has a very terrible history. You wouldn't believe some of the earliest of proponents, official proponents, researchers, you wouldn't believe. They had a brothel, sexual brothel, walking around naked with their research team, living like that. This is a fact. And they were publishing reports on the sexual gender fluidity and this sort of
Wasn't Mary
nonsense
Magdalene a
because they were
prostitute?
practicing it.
Yeah.
To me,
I heard.
to me,
Was Mary Magdalene a prostitute?
it's hard to say which Mary. It's
Sorry,
hard to
I
say
don't
which
care.
Mary.
I don't care.
It's hard to say.
But in the Hindu belief, I must say, they spoke about a city called Gomorrah
But-
thousands of years
but-
before the Bible.
but-
So the Jews went into
but
that part of the world and stole all
but
their
once
information.
Mary
Couldn't believe
Mary
it.
Magdalene
I know that. They've
Mary
read it.
Magdalene was.
They went everywhere, took everything,
Sorry.
wrote the Bible. They stole everybody's
Well,
religion.
that is the thing. I have to say about, so we're being anti-religion now, but most religions, especially yours, but all the Abrahamic, they are just plagiarized collections
Of everyone else's religion.
from older
Demonstrably not the case. And
Well,
I
I'm not
completely.
sorry,
So help
virgin
me
births,
understand.
resurrections, the symbols, the festivals. It's
Christianity
all
says
Would you believe?
plagiarized.
Would you believe?
Christianity says
this-
it doesn't believe in reincarnation.
John Paul once. John Paul once.
Like the Hindus.
Could I?
But what if Jesus
The
rose from
Jesus-
the dead? I don't
Stephen,
get it. They're hypocrites.
The Jesus myth theory, which is really the true origin of Jesus, is going back to various other mythologies,
Hippie alchemists.
borrowing aspects of being a shepherd, this and that, and whatever else, has been debunked. That was prevailing in the scholarly circles until maybe a couple of decades ago. Not anymore. It has been debunked
Even
because
if that's were true
there is
and
no.
correct, it still doesn't deny the fact that so much of the religion's core and periphery is plagiarized from much older religions.
That's not true.
Well,
So
this is-
can I ask you?
Can I put it another way? There are many other much older religions than Christianity that share some principles.
Let's
or
take
stories.
one example.
Would you
Just-
agree with that?
I disagree. So this is where
So no other older religion than Christianity has had a virgin birth, for example.
no,
No
demonstrably
other religion
not
has
so.
ever had a virgin birth.
Demonstrably not so.
The Immaculate Conception.
Demonstrably not so.
Well, how would you demonstrate that? You'd have to go through every single religion that ever existed.
I will
and
tell you-
show that it didn't feature any
Yeah.
virgin births.
So here is where we can demonstrate. Here is where if you actually go back to what are claimed to be virgin birth stories are not really virgin birth stories when you look at the details.
Well, you're saying they're not true.
Example at hand from Egypt, Horus, Isis, Osiris.
Yeah.
From Babylon, you have Ishtar, and if you go back to all of them, they'd have the same core, not of a virgin birth, but of a birth where the lady claims that she has a son of a person who is demonstrably not her husband. But she claims she has a son through that person. So, on video right now.
So what are you saying? That she claimed
Long story
father-
short, suspicious birth that she gives a strange account of. Suspicious birth that she gives
So
a
you're
strange
saying
account.
covering up that she'd had an affair with someone else?
Exactly. That's what you would find in all of these. And these
I'm always
all go
amazed
to...
that Joseph never made that point, though.
Exactly. So in relation to the Bible, first of all, you would find that the claim is very different in nitty-gritty. Second of all, you would find that it's a claim which was seen in a very different light and not primary to the account. The supernaturality of Jesus is not claimed through the virgin birth, but through the resurrection. The supernaturality
but there are also
of the other...
resurrection. There's definitely other religions,
No.
stories, folklore
No.
with resurrection.
No.
Really?
No. All of these other claimants, you would always find cyclical, seasonal rebirth stories, which are stories associated with agricultural seasons. They'd essentially say, hey, look, now it's the time for sowing, and now is the time for reaping, and that is when this guy is dying, and this is when this guy is rising up. It's an annual dying and coming back story that you'd find elsewhere, not the same. So in other words, the point is the claim of Jesus being a myth based on this sort of, the story has been borrowed from different myths, has been debunked. I'll send you an article, which is a scholarly article that I read. This is a Canadian scholar, namely Craig Evans. He writes a historiography on that, where he demonstrates how different people have tried to, in the sake of revisionism, have tried different of these attempts, but how all of them have been squarely debunked, that they can't progress with what they have claimed in mainline scholarly circles anymore. Today, what is prevalent in mainline scholarly circles is the fact of the Gospels being true, the Gospels as texts being written by followers, the fact of Jesus being, the person who claimed something like what he claimed, but on particular conclusions of whether he was divine and so on, people such as Bart Ehrman. Bart Ehrman is the leading sort of mainline figure, rejecting Christianity, but still in the scholarly circles even today. And that is because he does not subscribe to any of these mythical aspects, because they don't stand up to scrutiny based on evidence.
When is the new coming?
And so,
when is it all going to happen? The new
soon, you would not believe.
Yeah, there we go.
King Charles is getting ready.
Will reign.
I am telling you.
Within
Go on.
Charles's
This is
lifetime.
it.
King
This is
Charles
it.
is getting ready. I'm telling you.
Probably
I'm
not
reading
that long,
through.
I would suggest.
Exactly. But looking at, unfortunately, but looking at.
Will it be sort of unquestionably obvious when it
No,
happens?
no. What would happen?
So me and him are just going to point and laugh and say, oh, that's just...
Exactly. Not just you. Not
You
just
see
you.
this picture?
I will.
It's all in red.
I'll put it this way.
But
I'll put
surely
it.
it should be unquestionably...
It would be
clear.
unquestionable for someone who already knows what the Lord has given as warnings.
But the Muslims aren't going to accept it, are they?
The Muslims are going to be involved in this entire deal in a very interesting manner. It'll be surprising. You'll find out.
Share.
Briefly, just as a 1 minute sort of sneak preview. Very simply, the Antichrist guy, would present himself as a representative for the Muslims, and his main activity will be Israel based, appearing to bring about some peace.
Not Popular Regis.
Appearing to bring about some peace there.
It's like
But he
America's-
will be rejected. He will be rejected by the regular Islamic fellows, because they'll recognize him not to be a regular Muslim also.
Yeah.
So there will be, I don't know if you know about the Turkey, Egypt, the Turkey and the Arab conflict in Islamic world. They don't agree with, they have a tendency to disagree. So it's going to be very interesting. But the time is ticking. Biblical prophecies you would not believe are happening in front of our eyes, including the peace summit that Trump had not long ago. The Bible predicts, and I was astonished when I was reading through the prophecies again to see how, since the last time I went through it in extensive detail, how I began seeing many details stand up based on events that have happened in the near past. So I'll really comment to you, Stephen, to engage on a proper. That'll be On the mythicism, I'll send you the article.
Running out of battery or
Yeah, we need to
outside?
close soon. On the mythicism, I'll send you the article soon. On the prophecies, I will be writing through God's grace a book at some stage. But I am
You
willing
better be quick, right?
I better be quick, absolutely. This is part of my ministry.
Sell it before it happens.
At least get the material out.
Why does America have the contract with aliens? They only land in America.
John Paul needs
Why is there a contract with aliens?
John Paul, lovely seeing you today. Stephen, God's blessings. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. We need to wrap up. Just to wrap up.
Let's go home, man.
Yeah, just go.
Enjoy the Sunday.
Just to wrap up on what we've discussed so far. Stephen and John Paul and I, we had a lovely conversation. Stephen, I've known for a long time. I did not realize John Paul used to be a regular at Speaker's Corner before my time. I've been here for a couple of decades or so, but it seems like John Paul has been here from before that time. So it's lovely to catch up with both of them. And the substance of our conversation is for those who are watching events. For those who are watching events in front of our eyes right now, the nation has to wake up to the reality that we are going down a drain because we have turned our backs to Jesus. That's the entire reason. Everything LGBTQ, if you look at my YouTube post, before I came, I had a YouTube post calling for a fasting and praying for our nation. The 25th of July, first time, initially committing to one day, but we need to do this on a regular basis. We need to fast and pray in the presence of the Lord for us to have a hope in His sight. But we need to wake up. I have given a long list of our issues, and all of those issues, apart from the issues in relation to Islam, can be traced back to us turning our backs to Jesus. So right now is the time to reverse the trend. Doesn't matter how many, as long as at least a few are willing to commit before Jesus. The Lord Jesus is willing on our behalf to safeguard our nation. The Lord Jesus is able to. And so I comment this before everyone. Please watch the YouTube post or post in Twitter or anywhere else. You're a Muslim friend, but we have to wrap up right now.
I just want to,
But
when I go home, I'll show my mom that I'm famous.
lovely. So, but it's not just good to be famous. It's also important to be sensible. So if you come to Speaker's Corner next week, we can engage in a conversation.
I'm from Birmingham.
So please.
Far.
Los Ells Road.
Nah. Not too far from Los Angeles. Not too far from Los
You know Soho Road? I've been in Soho Road. That place is crazy.
Unfortunately, I've
place
been
is
making my friend
disgusting.
wait longer than he should have waited. Are you with him also?
No. He's dirty, don't. Najas.
Who is dirty? Me?
That's not
So,
nice.
so
Come on,
clearly
that's not nice.
trying to be popular,
Trying to be popular.
but clearly not trying to be sensible.
Hello, كيف حالك?
Thank you. God's blessings. That's the Arab influence, so we know what is happening in Arabia. If not for petroleum, Arabia will be in ruin.
If not for petroleum.
Clearly,
Oh
of course,
my God.
petroleum works even when he shouts out like this, so the Arab heartland still works. Thank you very much.